Hi there, it's a brand new month, and we're starting Proverbs all over again. And we're going to jump over here, and we're using the Living Bible this month, and we're backing that up with the New American Standard. As you can see on this scale, the farther left a Bible version is, the more exact word for word it is translated, and not caring about prose or thoughts or, the way the English language is laid out. It's word for word. And you see the New American Standard is way over here. It's one of the best word for word, even over the King James, which is right here. And it goes thought for thought, and then it goes to paraphrase. Okay, the Living Bible is way over on the right, being a paraphrase. Okay. And a paraphrase, I've never used the Living Bible. Okay, I've always used one of the word for word. And we can see here in this Tyndale Publishers, the Living Bible is a paraphrase of the Old and New Testament. Its purpose is to say as exactly as possible what the writers of the scriptures meant. Okay, what they meant. And to say it simply, expanding where necessary for a clear understanding by the modern reader. Okay. So a paraphrase is much like what a doctor would do and give you a diagnosis. I mean, the diagnosis he has is correct, but he uses all the medical words that you don't understand. And he puts it into simple language. He tells you exactly the same thing, but he explains it in a manner that you can understand and grasp what the whole meaning is. And that's kind of what a paraphrase is, okay? They're not changing the Bible. They're just putting it into words that are more understandable. So that's what we're going to do this month. And, of course, we will always back it up with the New American Standard. Okay, let's make this a little bit smaller here. Okay. So let's begin with the Living Bible. Verse 1, chapter 1. These are the Proverbs of King Solomon of Israel, David's son. Okay. He wrote them to teach his people how to live, how to act in every circumstance. Okay. And you can tell the difference. The basic direct word for word is to know wisdom and instruction, to discern the sayings of understanding. Okay, and he wrote them to teach people how to live, how to act in every circumstance. Okay? For he wanted them to be understanding, just, and fair in everything they did. I want to make simple-minded wise, he said. I want to warn young men about some problems they will face. And this puts 5 and 6 together. That's interesting. I want those already wise to become wiser and become leaders by exploring the depths of meaning of these nuggets of truth. A wise person will hear and increase in learning. A person of understanding will acquire wise counsel. To understand a proverb and saying, the words of the wise and their riddle. Okay. And it puts 7 through 9 together, which, this is strange, huh? Well, let's read over here first, in 7, 8, and 9. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Okay, and I highlighted that. Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not ignore your mother's teaching, for they are a graceful wreath for your head and necklaces for your neck. Okay. And we'll read 7 through 9 in our Living Bible. How does a man become wise? The first step is to trust and reverence the Lord, or fear the Lord. I very often use the word reverence there too. So let's just highlight this whole thing. So that's 7. Okay, they did put 7 by itself. Only few fools refuse to be taught. Listen to your father and mother. What you learn from them will stand you in good stead, and it will gain you many honors. Okay, so yeah, that's basically the same, but a little different. That's interesting. Verse 10. If young toughs, I like that. It says sinners over here, okay? If young toughs or sinners tell you, come and join us, turn your back on them. We'll hide and rob and kill, they say. Good or bad, we'll treat them all alike. And the loot we'll get, all kinds of stuff. Come in and throw your lot with us. We'll split with you in equal shares. Don't do it, son. Stay far from men like that. For crime is their way of life, and murder is their specialty. When a bird sees a trap being set, it stays away. But not these men. They trap themselves. They lay a booby trap for their own lives. Such is the fate of all who live by violence and murder. They will die a violent death. That's it. Okay. Verse 20. Wisdom shouts in the streets for a hearing. She calls out to the crowds along the main street and to the judges in their courts and everyone in all the land. You simpletons, she cries, how long will you go on being fools? How long will you scoff at wisdom and fight the facts? Come here and listen to me. I'll pour out the spirit of wisdom upon you and make you wise. I have called you so often, but you still won't come. I have pleaded, but all in vain. For you have spurned my counsel and reproof. Someday you'll be in trouble, and I'll laugh. Mock me, will you? I'll mock you. When a storm of terror surrounds you, and you are engulfed by anguish and distress, then I will not answer your cry for help. It'll be too late, though you search for me ever so anxiously. Calls him naive over here. Verse 29. For you closed your eyes to the facts and did not choose reverence and trust the Lord. You turned your back on me, spurning my advice. That is why you must eat the bitter fruit of having your own way and experience the full terrors of the pathway you have chosen. Let's highlight that right there. For you turned away from me to death. Your own complacency will kill you, fools. But all who listen to me shall live in peace and safety, unafraid. There you go. So that's Proverbs 1, more of an introduction than anything else it usually is. So there's not a lot. We didn't highlight it over here either. But we did highlight the most important. How does a man become wise? The first step is to trust and reverence the Lord. Right? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. It says over in the direct. First step. First thing you got to do, fear the Lord. You won't learn anything. Okay? And you know what? How do you find them? Let's jump over to... All right, let's open a new. We'll open a different one here. We're looking for James 1:5, and let's do it in a different. A, B, C, D. The New American Standard. Okay. How do you get wisdom? The first step is to fear the Lord. The second step, five, 6, and 7, and James 1. How do you get wisdom? If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him. Okay? Ask God for wisdom. But he must ask in faith without any doubting. For the one who doubts is like the surf of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. For that person ought not to expect that he will receive anything from the Lord, being a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. Right? So, how does a man become wise? The first step is to trust the Lord. Follow the Lord, revere the Lord, fear the Lord. And the second step is to ask. You ask God for wisdom, but when you ask, You have to have absolute faith that he'll give it to you. Okay? You have to know. Once you've asked for it, he says he'll give it to you, and he will. You can't doubt. I hope this works. That doesn't work. Okay? You have to absolutely. I'm going to get wisdom because the Lord said I would. Man. Side notes. That's important. Yeah? And the rest is about staying away from evil people. Okay? And what happens if you don't get wisdom? You know? We'll just highlight this whole thing as well. I'll make that yellow. For you closed your eyes to the facts and did not choose reverence and trust the Lord and did not fear the Lord. It probably says it right here. Yeah. Because you hated knowledge and did not choose to fear the Lord. Okay? And you turned your back on me, spurning my advice. That is why you must eat the bitter fruit of having your own way and experience the full terrors of the pathway you have chosen. For you turned away from me to death. Your own complacency will kill you, fools. But all who listen to me shall live in peace and safety, unafraid. There you go. Very good reasons to seek wisdom, right? So, that's chapter 1 of Proverbs for April 1st. This is going to be interesting. Like I said, I've never used the Living Bible before. I've always used other American versions, but it's very interesting, you know. And I don't mind doing a paraphrase as long as I have a word-for-word version right next to it, parallel. Okay, I always study in parallel because if something's confusing, you could look over to another, you know, a different kind of version. You know, all Bibles say the same thing. All good Bibles say the same thing. You know, they're not purposely trying to lead you astray. You know, as long as it's a real Bible. You know, not not somebody else's version of the Bible. Meaning, like, you know, the Catholic Bible or the Mormon Bible or the Jehovah's Witness Bible, they actually change stuff. They actually do exactly what the Lord says not to do. Okay? And if you want to know about these, I mean, this site right here, it's called notjustanotherbook.com. And you can study all these versions, okay? Word for word, all the way over to paraphrase, okay? And these are all good Bibles. And this list even actually lets you know where they change it to gender-neutral language. I don't like when they do that, okay? If it says my son, it ought to say my son, not my child. Right? Some of them even use gender-neutral language for God, which is just wrong. Okay, I have a big problem with that. But this one, and I can put this link in the description, and you can study all these. Okay, but this is very good to have. So, but I'll put that in that link. I'll show you what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this. Okay, I will put the link to this. You know, with all the versions and, you know, word for word over to paraphrase. Okay? But, so, that's day 1. Stay tuned later. We're still in, I think, Judges in the Old Testament in our Through the Bible in a Year. Give us a like if you think about it. Any questions? I'll try to answer. But, until next time, have a good day.